Welcome back. We are here for the Between, Dancing on Strings, Episode 5. They have resolved 3 Mills Island, and we drift to the past of a one Daymond Gray.
The first mask of the past. Narrate a flashback to a time when you were in your mother's womb that showed, even then, dark entities were interested in you. For my own sake, I've advanced that by just a couple of months. We start by overlooking a small church hospital in rural England sometime late into the night. We hear the sound of labored moans and deep breaths. And yet we do not enter that church. Instead, our view begins to descend down underground. First, the dirt and the tree roots. Next, the graves of the long dead and a buried set of Roman runes. Finally, bones of some long dead beast, tinted with a red underglow, and our view snaps right back to that church hospital under a half-full moon. A man, standing nude, is in front of us. He is unashamed of his nudity. His back, unmarred by silver swirling strokes, is familiar as he begins to walk away from us. The man enters the church with a squeak of the door, and the air smells faintly of honeyed wax as his feet, bare and rugged, cross the threshold. We see his head twist to the side as he winces, though we don't actually see his face, as it contorts in a grimace of pain. The man regains his otherworldly composure, looks off to the side, and reaches into a coat closet, pulling out a burgundy suit. He inspects it thoroughly, in a low, growling voice, just overheard from the cries of laboring above. The man waxes poetic. This will have to do. Our view leaves the man to dress as we head up through the church, up the stairs, and through the corridors of the hospital. The sound of pain growing louder as we travel these old, tired halls. We make it to a delivery room, where we are accosted by the scent of sterility. The normally well-kept room is full of used supplies and the sound of steady breathing in and the cries of pain out. Steady breathing in and the cries of pain out. The midwife has her back to us and to the door, blocking us from seeing most of the work being done. A simple nurse holds the mother's hand. The dark circles under the nurse's eye force us to question how long this delivery's been going on for. The orchestra of pain in this room is silenced in a moment by a hard knock at the door and a deep man's voice. Pardon me, Miss Gray, but it's time. The midwife, turning to the door to bars our intruder from entering, almost misses the new babe as it greets the world with a hearty wail. A look of relief falls over everyone's faces. However, that relief disappears from the nurse's face as she sees the newborn, covered in silver scars. The relief disappears from the mother's face as the man in the burgundy suit enters the room. Her face aghast, as if looking at the long-lost, once shipwrecked, long-dead lover of times gone by. The only words that fall out of her mouth are, "You?" The deep voice of the man in the burgundy suit sends shivers down the midwife's spine. "Yes, Miss Gray. You promised me a child, and I intend for you to keep that promise. Now then, does my child have a name?" The man glides over to the midwife, plucking the babe out of her arms before the mother can even see the boy's face. The midwife is the only one to speak. You, Daymond, you can't take, but she's interrupted by the child's owner, Daymond Gray. Acceptable, the man retorts. With a snap of the fingers, the man, who looks exactly like the person the babe will become, steals himself in the dead of night in a rush of hellfire.
And that is when the credits begin and the opening roll of the theme song comes across the screen. And we enter into day phase, where you all can meet with each other, discuss things from nights before, when Three Mills Island lost the overhead portal, and we seem to have gained some house guests, unless I am wrong. Where do we see you all this morning?
Daymond would be sleeping in his voluptuous bed. On the pillow next to him is the almanac of the Hyades. He would pick it up off the pillow and place it lovingly onto a bookshelf next to some books that describe things best left alone.
I think Val is also lying in. They are propped up in bed with a pot of coffee and a book. And Prince Rupert the cat from HMS Whippet is mewling for attention.
Kemuel is up early, and they are escorting Madame Helmley to a room, remarking, "And this will be your laboratory, if you like. You can reside in the room adjacent, if that's convenient, or near my space down the hall, if you prefer. Do you find this satisfactory?"
If Hargrave House provides, then I'm sure that she will look around and actually will raise her veil, in wonder. And then you see her gaunt face, almost skull-like, looking around and see her grin even, and just, this will be most satisfactory. And then she'll turn to you, still with her veil up, and say, "Are you sure? You don't know me. Why?"
You are worthy. Think nothing of this. This is merely the beginning. We have such work to do.
And Marybelle?
Marybelle is standing outside Valentine's door, standing stock still, just nose to the door, and listening, unblinking, to the strange sound, they don't recognize it, of the cat meowing. They'd heard cats before, of course, but, when they're out in the streets or hissing, not like this.
Not like this. Amazing. Okay, so day phase is yours. Vulnerable moves. Again, whomever's vice is in play will be framing up the scene, and then that person will get the bonus to decide what they would like at the end of the vulnerable scene, okay? Even if you don't have a removable condition, you know me, I indulge. Please feel free, have a scene. Let's get to know these characters even outside of your masks. So, who wants to go first?
Well, if Marybelle's listening at the door, I think it would maybe make sense for us to have a scene together. I think maybe we see how do you want to frame it, Amanda? Do you want it to be
Well, I
your
imagine since you're
voice or
already
mine?
reading, it'd probably be yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That works for me.
I think it might just come to the point where hearing this strange sound, knowing that generally speaking, people don't like when they do this, Marybelle will just open the door, throw the door open.
And I think Val starts up in bed and then like, oh, Marybelle, why don't you come in? You
I'm
could always have
already
knocked.
in. Oh, yes, that is appropriate behavior, is it not? I heard a strange sound. You're
Ah,
new to Hargrave House, but I was not sure if this was a sound that you normally make or if something was wrong.
what kind of sound?
And I think Marybelle does like a perfect recreation of exactly what that cat sounded like. Meow,
Ah, that wasn't me, Marybelle. That was come and meet Prince Rupert. When Mr. Grey abandoned me on board HMS Whippet, and I was left there alone apart from this fellow, I thought I would give him a home here with us.
meow. This is an animal. Why do you allow it in your room?
You are not familiar with the concept of a pet, Marybelle? Sometimes people choose to take animals into their homes as a form of companionship, or sometimes there is a reciprocal arrangement where the animal provides some service for the person in question and receives food and a roof above their heads in return.
And
For
what
example,
service does... My apologies. How should I address the prince? Is it His Majesty?
and I think Val gives a little chuckle and I'm sure his namesake would have preferred that, but I think Rupert will be sufficient.
Hmm.
Well, cats. I don't know. Perhaps I'm stating the obvious here, but cats catch vermin, mice and such, rats.
Hmm. And what does the cat gain from you?
And I think Val just looks at you while kind of tickling the cat under the chin.
Yeah, that goes right over Marybelle's head. They have no idea what that means.
Well, a warm place to sleep, a fire. Cats enjoy warmth,
Hmm.
and perhaps to supplement their diet of mice and rats, an occasional treat from the kitchen.
I would like to touch Rupert.
I will let him be the decide whether he wishes for that to happen.
He makes his own choices then.
Oh, cats are most independent creatures.
Rupert, I would like to touch you. How do I know if he is responding?
Well, generally, if a cat does not wish to be touched, they will simply back away from you. Or sometimes if you see the tail swishing back and forth, that may be a sign that they do not enjoy whatever is happening.
Yeah, I think I reach out my hand to touch the cat. Not pet really, and not scritch. More just like a one finger touch on it, maybe like the top of Rupert's head. Sorry. Rob put night move into chat and it broke me for a moment. Okay, I'm good. Yeah, I think I reach out to touch the cat. How does Rupert react, Rob? I think you're probably the best judge of Prince Rupert's character.
Well, he's a ship's cat. He's definitely used to people and probably used to things such as, like, I don't know, nautical terminology, but, like pegs that ropes are around and creaking, not machinery exactly, but, I think there may be a certain similarity with the way Marybelle's limbs articulate to the rigging of a ship. So I think he might certainly not reject you, maybe cautiously allow you to touch him.
I think after a quick momentary touch, I take my hand away. Oh, I see I have interrupted your private time. You are reading a smallish book.
Not at all. I was about to rise.
This is a strange looking book. I have never seen a book like this in the library.
Indeed. That is a tricky matter to explain. And Val will show you the cover of the book, which is it is a hardback book. And on the spine, it says The Time Machine by Herbert George Wells.
A time machine, you say?
It is quite a new book, I might say.
And you enjoy reading?
I do. I came to it rather late in life, but I find it most interesting to, in particular, read of the fantasies and premonitions that talented writers have of the future from their perspective. Although, as one of my favorite writers once observed, all fiction of that sort is, in fact, about the time in which it is written.
And that's why you enjoy reading about the future, because it is actually about the present.
Yes, I think it reflects something of the hopes and fears of the zeitgeist from which it emerges. The spirit of the age, I believe, is the translation into modern English.
So the things people create depend on the time and environment they are living in?
Yes, I think people are very much shaped by the environment in which they find themselves. That is typically the way. Some may push against it, but
do you push against the time that you are in? Do you long for the future? Or do you long for the past? I've heard people on the street talk about how things used to be better.
That is a common refrain throughout history, I fear. I think people have ever spoken thus. The past was perhaps different, but neither in general better or worse. There were some things in my youth that were simpler, but I'm not sure I wish to go back there, having seen the way the world has changed since then.
I think I can understand that. I think I reach out to touch the cat again.
All right, let's look at the conditions. What do we think? I mean, obviously, Marybelle, you can't release Most Beloved, but Val,
Well,
Bones and Rags or Deja Vu?
I was thinking Bones and Rags because they are kind of having a lie-in and coffee and spending time with a cat. So there's a certain amount of indulgence there and probably,
Living.
yeah, you know, restorative quality.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and release that. So basically, since it's your vice, you get the bonus. You can either stumble upon a clue for an active thread or what will be active, or you can invite Marybelle to ask you something about your past.
How
What do you
do
like?
clues for mean times?
Yeah. Good question.
Well, we have three. Oh no, we have three more. Yes.
And you have a 4 complexity or a 6 complexity, so yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure which one we're leaning toward. I had in mind something to do during the day, so I'll invite Marybelle to ask me something about the past since we were having a conversation about the past.
I'll think about that while we switch scenes. Is that if that's okay?
Absolutely. All right.
Thanks.
Does Kemuel meet with Daymond, or Daymond meet with Kemuel? What's going on? Or does Daymond remark upon the new guest in the house?
Go.
Or go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I think a little of both. There's a question that I think Daymond would want to ask Kemuel, and so seek him out, perhaps even with the new guest present, though. Are we comforting the dying, or
Yeah,
something more
perhaps
dramatic?
Mr. Gray would maybe catch Kemuel on his way out the door, and accompany him to St. Joseph's of the Good End to offer some comfort.
Absolutely. Daymond would make sure he's got a Bible with him then. It's a lovely day today. The sky isn't too blue, is it?
It seems just the right shade of blue, Mr. Gray.
Excellent. And that was you and Marybelle's work?
Perhaps more Marybelle than ourselves. We played our part, I suppose.
That you did. Speaking of your part, I noticed that you brought someone home and began setting them up in a laboratory. Are they a new doctor for Hargrave House, given that Dr. Weiss has locked themselves in their own study?
They are not a replacement for Dr. Weiss by any means.
I would not suggest as such.
She is a chemist of sorts. She is ours now. She will help with our work.
When you say ours, knowing your penchant to contain multitudes, yours or the house's? Or are they one and the same?
She has much to offer. She belongs to this one.
Thank you for the clarification. On that note, there is a particular reason I've joined you this morning. A question of the heart. One that I do not often get a chance to think of. I've recently met someone. Something that pleases me, shall we say. They, however, are not the kind of thing that you keep, where you assemble multitudes around you. How do you keep one thing happy, Kemuel?
If you have found something that pleases you, this seems right. Your happiness will be contagious, we expect.
Knowing what this contains, I hope it is not contagious.
And perhaps then they arrive at the hospice, if you will. And will you accompany us inside, Mr. Gray?
I don't see why not. I've come all the way here. May as well experience the living.
Very good. And I think they arrive at the bedside of a very elderly man, wrinkled and spotted, and racking with what's clearly a painful cough, eyes cloudy, unseeing, coughing and wincing. And Kemuel kneels down and brushes his hand across the man's cheek. And the man's body relaxes. And Kemuel leans in close and says, I know, Robert, your eyes cannot see me, us, but in this moment, please tell us what you see. And the man whispers something inaudible and expires. And as he does, I think Kemuel just sort of collapses, like the air went out of him or them. And then he looks up at Mr. Gray, frightened. Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Uh, uh, can you help me?
Uh, yes?
Yes,
You are
I
Robert?
I I'm too weak. I'm too weak to walk. Can you help me before it comes back?
Yes. Where do you need to go?
Uh, just away. Just away. Quick.
Daymond picks up the body and begins walking with it out, looking for whatever Kemuel's going to direct him to.
I think in that moment, Kemuel stands up, like almost like a hand going into a glove, and looks, oh. You may release us, Mr. Gray.
Daymond, are you wearing gloves?
No, should I be?
Kemuel, Daymond touched you. How do you feel about that?
I think in that moment when they realize that your hands have been on their skin, you see sort of a fire in the eyes and a tightening. And they rear back with their hand and slap across your cheek. And with the other hand, grab tightly to the throat and say, "We forgive you this time, Mr. Gray. Please leave our form be in the future."
For that fun, I can't help but scar your reflection, please. Tell us how it has changed.
So I think what we see is perhaps as the broadsheet is delivered, the illustration that adorns the front above the text that was so finely detailed, showing Kemuel in the appearance of an angel with those bat wings. The fine details now bleed, and it's just the ink is chunky, much rougher and less precise and delicate than it was before.
Mr. Gray, what is your response?
It would genuinely take a moment. Being slapped is not something he would expect. Kemuel, please leave bedroom play for the bedroom, not the bed of a dying man.
Ha ha ha! Very, very wit.
Conditions?
If that did not clear Gys of the Hyades, I don't know what will.
Right? Get slapped out of you. Sure. Kemuel?
I was thinking marked by the six-eyed beast.
Yeah. That is fine. So it was your vice, Kemuel, so you can either stumble on a clue for the active or upcomingly active threat, or you can invite Mr. Gray, to ask you a question about your past. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I shouldn't be so amused.
I'll invite the question. Sure.
Who is the last person to touch you unprompted that you did not take offense to? And just tell us a little about them.
Her name was Vashti. She was extraordinary, a beautiful queen. She was cast away from her people for the sake of our company.
Do you ask anything else, Mr. Gray?
One question in mind, but I feel that that one will get answered in time.
Okay. Going back to Val and Marybelle, do you have that question that you want to ask?
I think so. Marybelle touches Prince Rupert again. Just a tap. A gentle tap, but it is a tap nonetheless. And says, you take companionship with an animal and read in your room by yourself. You are new to Hargrave House. Do you have no people that know you or care for you?
Well, I have the means to open certain doors to meet with certain people, but I'm not sure that they would recognize me per se. No, I suppose I find myself at the moment rather adrift.
Are you not lonely?
With you for company, Marybelle, how could I be?
Yes, I understand. We are friends. Are you also friends with Mr. Gray and Kemuel?
I've not spent a great deal of time with Kemuel yet, but they are an interesting personage. Mr. Gray? Well, there is, I suspect, a certain darkness to the man, but I am yet to fully make a judgment. What do you think of him, Marybelle?
He is a good teacher.
Has he taught you?
About how people work, how people talk and interact, and how to get what you want.
Well, it is important, Marybelle, not to simply look at other people as tools to get what you want. Those people have their own wishes and desires. And while those wishes and desires may sometimes be at odds with your own or with what is right, if they're not, it is just to take them into account.
have you never unjustly used someone for your own gain?
I cannot swear to have never done so, but whenever I have always regretted it. And I can only hope to do better in future.
Perhaps I shall learn from your mistakes, and you will be a good teacher as well.
Perhaps.
I take my leave. Have a nice morning. You as well, Your Highness. And then I leave.
Only a little while later, after Daymond and Kemuel return home, perhaps in uneasy silence, who knows? And when Marybelle has left Val's room, there is a knock at the door. This morning, a young man arrived on your doorstep with his eyes swollen shut and face covered in fresh, unsightly cuts and bruises. He identifies himself as Bram Fuller, and also, apprehensively, as a member of the Bout Club, an underground fighting ring for working-class men. Bram is concerned about a new member of the club, a freakishly strong fighter the men have taken to calling the Shoreditch Slugger. Since his induction into the club several weeks ago, the Slugger has not once lost a bout. He has also left a ghastly trail of broken limbs and even deaths in his wake. 2 days ago, a young railway construction laborer named Phineas Bird died at his hands. The other fighters, not to be outdone, have taken the Slugger's seemingly invulnerability as a challenge. In short, the brutality of the fight has greatly escalated since the Slugger's arrival. Bram finds the Slugger's indomitable prowess odd, and, though he won't outright admit it, frightening. He's heard that Hargrave House has experience dealing with unusual types, and hopes you will see fit to run the Slugger out of London, or at least out of Bout Club. You are on the verge of turning Bram away, thinking he has vastly misunderstood what Hargrave House does, when he stammers out a detail that makes you certain that there is a supernatural threat here after all. From the sound of it, you will need to determine how the Slugger came by his supernatural strength, or at the very least, find a chink in his proverbial armor, in order to take him on and stop the Bout Club business from growing out of control. Kemuel, what detail does Bram add that convinces you the Shoreditch Slugger is siphoning his strength from a supernatural source?
The slugger's skin in the midst of the bouts sort of glimmers and glistens and crackles almost with this energetic glow.
Due to its highly secretive and illegal nature, Bout Club frequently changes venues. Bram helpfully provides the address of the club's next midnight meeting, a church construction site in Whitechapel. There are several questions. Actually, no, I apologize. There's 2 questions that you could answer for some opportunities. You can try to find out what is the source of the Shoreditch Slugger's superhuman strength, a complexity 2, and you'll find out that the Slugger's power cannot be taken away completely, but you can steal some of it for yourselves, subvert this source for your own use through thievery or ritual, and gain access to the custom move Eternal Man. And then you can also resolve the threat by answering what is the Shoreditch Slugger's weakness, a complexity 6. You resolve it by exploiting this knowledge to destroy him or convince him through defeat or humiliation to retire from Bout Club and into obscurity. You have a time limit with this threat. You have 3 night phases. while this threat is active to solve this, resolve this, before someone becomes fascinated with the slugger and tries to bring the slugger under their control. Keep that in mind. So now you have mean times. Oh, I'm sorry, let me see. Ah, yes, it is as I remembered. There is no threat mask associated with this threat, so yeah.
And we used the one for mean times, right?
Yes, Mask of the Clock.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's all about your masks of past and future. So yeah. Alrighty. So now, again, mean times, you have 3 clues available to you for either a complexity 4, what did the voyage of the HMS Whippet discover and what went wrong on the voyage? You can resolve mean times by destroying the source of the anomaly and breaking the strange temporal effects. Or, if you answer complexity 6, what did Dr. Fisher learn from the material discovered by the HMS Whippet and what power does it hold? You can resolve the threat that way by containing the temporal anomaly so that the material can be removed safely for storage or research. You may be able, at that point, to be able to take the source of the anomaly as a reward. So, take that into consideration, okay? And now, Shoreditch Slugger. Complexity 2 as a separate question to answer, but then the resolution of the threat is a complexity 6, okay? What is the Shoreditch Slugger's weakness? Okay, so, I ask you, what does each of you want to do today? Kemuel, what would you like to do?
Perhaps investigate the observatory.
Daymond.
Are we able to do anything with the Shoreditch Slugger, or do we need to wait for the night for this one?
Oh, no. I mean, well, you can investigate where, you around the place where where it's going to be, like where the next Bout Club meeting is going to be, or you could, seek out rumors. You can go hang out in, find out from Bram, other sources of information, maybe.
Okay. That doesn't sound... Well, it sounds exciting to me. It does not sound like something Daymond would like. Can we take a look in... I think I'll join Kemuel at the observatory, potentially check out because Dr. Fisher had a small sample of the material.
I believe that is the case. Or he had plenty of notes. And his assistant is still there. She was the one
Yes.
that had brought this to your attention. Okay? So, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And Marybelle, where do you want to go?
I would like to investigate the last place Bout Club happened,
Sure.
wherever that might be.
That is an abandoned theater.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
And Val, where do you want to go?
I had been thinking about going to the observatory, but with 2 folks going there already, that seems like overkill.
I can go elsewhere.
I could go, or I could go see Allardyce again. I think Val is pretty fascinated with the Jameses Allardyce.
That's fine. If you want to go ahead and visit the pensioner, that is perfectly fine. Okay? We will start with Kemuel and Mr. Gray heading over to the observatory first. The Royal Observatory. Set atop a hill in the middle of Greenwich Park, the observatory has powerful telescopes for stargazing. It is the location of 0-degree longitude, and research done here is vital to navigating the open seas. Paint the scene for everyone. What here shows that the scientists of the observatory are at the cutting edge of Victorian science, and what vestiges of an earlier age still persist?
I think there's a glass making shop in the observatory. It's not necessarily like in the building itself, but off to the side. A workplace where they make their own mirrors and lenses. And it's clear that this has been brought on from some less than stellar quality mirrors and lenses that they've obtained from elsewhere. And so they had to take it in-house to get exactly what they needed.
In the path leading up to the observatory, perhaps there's a roundabout or something. At any rate, there's a little circular, almost a garden area with a just ancient, like the stone is worn and pocked, sort of plinth or monolith.
On a table in a very like place of pride, there is an arithmometer, a counting machine that is able to do not just addition, but some kinds of multiplication as well, much faster than humans can generally do and much more accurately. But you can also see on the same table, somebody has handwritten out various common calculations done probably just regularly by hand. You can see that the ink is a bit smudged. They're clearly still shuffling through these pages every now and then.
One of the scientists is arriving for the day as we as we see the hunters arriving there, and he's arriving into a courtyard where there are horses drawing carts with equipment and carriages dropping people off. But this particular scientist is arriving on some type of three-wheeled contraption that he's pedaling. It has two big wheels at the front and one little wheel at the back, and he has some handles to steer it with.
So yes, Kemuel and Mr. Gray, you are rocking up to the Royal Observatory, seeing all these things, and perhaps Millicent Bryan, who brought you the case in the first place. She has come through into the foyer and sees you arrive. Oh, any headway with the case? She speaks to either of you, or both of you, whomever's in front.
I think Kemuel sees something and walks past her and starts to fiddle with the little slides on the arithmometer and turn the little crank, looking just delighted.
Pay them no mind. Kemuel gets easily distracted by things that are non-mundane. And there are many things here for them to play with. We'll keep them out of the researchers' work. But yes, we have made some interesting progress. In fact, just the other night, my colleague and I explored the HMS Whippet, the ship that brought in the Alder Ice. Man, we've also interviewed all three of the lost souls, and believe we've determined which one is, for lack of a better word, the correct one. Though we were hoping to take a look at Dr. Fisher's notes, if you've got them, and potentially a small piece of what we believe to be star matter that fell near the HMS Whippet during the incident.
Interesting. I actually... She will... You see in front of you a woman with rational dress, probably a lab coat on, and then she just kind of assesses you with her eyes, and then she will fiddle with like a chain that she has spectacles like attached to it, and then we will put them on her face and kind of adjusting. I don't know about... I definitely have kept all of Dr. Fisher's notes. Absolutely. He was a gentleman scientist, pardon my saying. He made time for his work between club engagements, of course. I would never criticize his work ethic, of course, but to see him apply himself as he did was unusual, and I think you'll see that when you review his notes. Frankly, odd things have been happening. I'm sure there's a rational explanation, but
Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there is a supernatural explanation. Take, for example, my necklace here, and I'd pull out the upside-down cross necklace. As many times as I've tried, and I'd show that there is a small hole to mount the necklace the right way up. As many times as I've tried, this necklace refuses to stay right way up. There is no explanation for it, I'd say, as I undo the necklace and attempt to feed the chain through the right way up, placing the necklace back on myself. And throughout the conversation, the necklace would slowly rotate back. I don't mean to alarm, but there are some things in this world that rational science should not explain. Not because it cannot, but because finding true answers involves opening one's mind in a way that science demands that it can't.
to be honest with you, Mr. Gray, correct?
Please, call me Daymond.
Daymond. I was almost happy to see Dr. Fisher throw himself into his work, into the research on the Whippet, with such vigor, but it did not seem healthy, and perhaps this is something that you speak of with some experience. There should be a rational explanation regardless. It is part of the science to know, to explore, and to have a reason for things to be as they are. But I'm sorry, I keep you. Let me show you to Dr. Fisher's office, and perhaps your thinking, your paradigm could possibly explain the strangeness. It's the least I can do to it, to have someone else take a look.
Absolutely.
I need to have my own work. I had been Dr. Fisher's assistant for 3 years, and I took on many of his duties during that time.
It almost sounds then as if you were really the researcher and he merely the assistant.
She just looks over her spectacles at you with a little smile, and then she will lead you to Dr. Fisher's office. Kemuel, are you still playing around with the stuff on the table, or are you following behind?
I think they have closed the sort of wood and ivory lid on the arithmometer and put it under their arm, and maybe catch sight of Mr. Gray heading down the hallway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. basically, Millicent will bring everyone, or like, bring Mr. Gray, and then you can follow up the stairs to where Dr. Fisher's office was located. Um, it's a wood-paneled study in the observatory, which shows evidence of once being organized, but now it's a thorough mess of star charts and maps and navigational tools across every surface and wall. This is also a paint the scene. What signs do we see of Dr. Fisher's increasing obsession and desperation?
I think we see, perhaps on the floor of this office, a bedroll with a pillow, and it's ruffled, it's rumpled. It seems clear she's sleeping here.
I think she's closed off Dr. Fisher's office, so this would have been left over from when he was here. Yeah.
I think there are various notebooks and notes scattered around that start off, meticulous and neat, but as they go, they get more and more chaotic, and the writing is more frantic and large, to the point where it's the same words over and over and over again for pages and pages.
On the front door to the office, we see Dr. Fisher's schedule, just sort of a rough where he'll be, the kind that most research professors have. And every single day has been crossed out with the word busy, to the point that like other researchers trying to get a meeting with him have started putting into like next month's calendar, just appointment. And so like the first of next month is like 100 appointments that he's should have had this month but has put off.
Yeah, no one has had the heart to take it down even after Dr. Fisher's death. But I'm sorry, I need to get to my work, but just I'll be in the other lab if you need anything or need to ask me any other questions. I hope you can make sense of it, Mr. Gray.
I hope so as well. Thank you for involving us in this. It's the right thing to do.
She will take her leave, and then as she passes, maybe at this point, Kemuel, you have come up the stairs and have, come upon Daymond getting ready to go into the office, or seeing going into the office itself, as opposed to just looking from the door. So.
And I think Kemuel will step inside with Mr. Gray, look around, walk over to where the bedroll is, and sit down cross-legged. And he's wearing a long, tight jacket, but reaching inside, he pulls out and unfolds that broadsheet that we've seen before. And in this place that still vibrates with strange happenings, he'll look, almost dive into the illustration on the front, which is the cosmic passage move.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was like trying to remember, okay, which one is this again?
Yeah, it says, whenever you gaze upon the masterwork in an attempt to uncover something hidden in the world, roll with sensitivity.
Okay.
On a 10+, the masterwork reveals a clue or a mastermind clue, your choice. On a 7 to 9, as above, but you scar your reflection.
Okay. Roll with sensitivity, please. Right. 2d6. Hold on a second. Let me see something.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think Sally's song is going to affect you in this case. Okay.
That is on the dice a 7 plus 1, so that's 8.
So go ahead and scar your
Yeah.
reflection. Which clue do you want? A clue or a mastermind clue?
Oh, oh. My intent was a clue because I hadn't carefully read that part. I think I have to take the mastermind clue.
Ah, I was hoping you'd say that. Look upon the masterwork and then see things within it. What exactly do you read on your broadsheet as you start to fall into it? Let's start there.
Yes, I think moving down from the illustration, they pause upon an article that is discussing how in the life and times of they who cannot be denied, they have taken on a new follower, a most extraordinary chemist. And it describes Madame Helmsley's appearance. And the other thing that they notice is normally the tone of these articles is very worshipful and very salutary, but for some reason, at least in this first paragraph, the tone is not critical, but is there a hint of judgment?
Is that your scar?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And I think as you read this, and you're maybe actually a frown starts to furrow your brow, I think you're going to start feeling as if, your long jacket, it's already tight, yes? You're sitting in this cross-legged position. I think you start to feel it tightening more, as if the comfortable cloth and fabric suddenly starts to get tighter and tighter. And then you realize maybe it's not the cloth at all, but you start to feel as if you are being bound, as if invisible strings are wrapping around you. And perhaps like when you take a look away from the broadsheet and then just look at yourself to see what you're feeling, you see for just a moment the shadow of these bindings. Not quite so invisible, and yet they vanish, but you still feel as if they're wrapping around you in this moment. And I think it's going to throw you into a memory. Tell me, Kemuel, when was the last time you were bound and took pleasure from it?
2 months passed in Limehouse.
I think you see yourself there at Limehouse, in that place, in that time, wearing what you were wearing. The study disappears. You are no longer there. You are at Limehouse and having an interestingly fun time. And then the sensation vanishes as soon as you are approached by someone you thought you knew, but then the shadow disappears and then the vision dissipates. Please take the condition déjà vu. Daymond, what are you doing here in the study?
Seeing as Kemuel has taken the middle of the room, part of me wants to go through the books left behind, and part of me wants to go stand on the jumping off point where Dr. Fisher flung himself into the abyss of concrete below. Based on your reaction, Mads, I think we go to the point from where Dr. Fisher flung himself onto the abyss of the concrete meridian below.
Okay.
Carefully opening up the window and stepping out onto the ledge.
Yeah, I think you know, or you feel exactly how high this is. You can see for quite some distance, but you feel the beating of the wind against your body and how easy it is to, well, fall down, down, down if you look.
And
Day move.
okay.
You have out of time, and I think this is a good time for a day move. You will feel yourself get shoved into a vision inconveniently. And what that means is that if you don't resist or if you can't break out of it, then there's a good chance that you will slip and fall. Or be a little kicked into a different place altogether when you do fall. So, what are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
I mean, the obvious answer is fall to my death. The more fun answer is I fall and fall and fall, requiring someone from Hargrave House to come get me.
We'll see. So, definitely at disadvantage because of out of time. So, 2d6 plus sensitivity. Oh,
I
shit.
have, oh,
Oh, no. Okay.
hopefully Mark
Hopefully
will
be
be
back.
I've got the weirdest of ideas to use the witch's cupboard for this.
Okay.
The witch's cupboard is a cupboard at Hargrave House that is mine, that contains all of the materials I need for any ritual I could possibly need. At any time, I'm sorry, when I take the move, I get 3 items from it. I have already done that. At any time, I or another hunter can pull something out that's useful.
Mhm.
One of the items is a broom. I'm about to fall. I think you can see where we're going with this.
I can see it, and I
We're
love it.
defying gravity, potentially to a particular musical soundtrack.
Ah.
Um,
Oh.
so I'd like to pull out a broom, possibly one of Dr. Fisher's that's sitting here, but use it from the witch's cupboard.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. So basically that's 2d6 plus sensitivity. Flat since you're kind of like negating it a bit.
Attempting to negate it.
Yes, we'll see how this goes. 2d6 plus sensitivity, please.
Well, that's not helpful. It's a total of 6.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like you're here at the observatory, so why the hell not? So I'm gonna say it's like you feel the shifting again. Like it's that thrumming that you felt back at the Whippet. And it's like, it's like practically shaking and shivering your molecules to shove you into a different time, right? And you hold on to your broom as a lifeline or grounding, and you intend on at least keeping yourself from falling, uncontrollably. But what this does is, as you are trying to ground yourself with this broom and you are, again, trying to keep yourself together. All it does is, like, you shake even harder. The broom shakes with you, and then you realize it's like, it's not you and the broom shaking. It's actually the observatory being consumed by a whirling void in time and space. You see the swirls of different places, different scenes, different time periods. You see your companions in different periods of their lives. You may even catch, like, several glimpses of Val, but Val doesn't look like the Val you know at this time. Val looks like all different sorts of times, as well as Kemuel even. So you are stuck currently. Or you can use a mask. Get out of this. There is a way out of this, I will say. But
no, I also know a way out of this, and so I'm not going to use a mask.
okay.
I'm going to remain stuck.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sure. Okay.
Are we switching to the other scene? Or
Yes, we are.
Perfect.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just enjoying this so much. Oh man. Oh, you make it so easy. Damn. Okay. Let's go over to Marybelle. Marybelle, you are heading over to the previous location of Bout Club. Like, Brian was able to give you that information. And it is an abandoned theater, like, in the West End. Like the not the playbill. The billboard is still up. Like, maybe, like, kind of like a rundown and, like, just showing a few letters of what the original show was. You can't quite tell. And it's just looking very sooty and very grimy here. I'll just do a quick paint the scene. So what do we see here from its abandoned condition that gives hints of Bout Club's presence?
There is, even after however long it's been, a real stench of sweat. Like a real stench.
I think among other debris there are scattered little stubs of tokens people were given when they made bets on the fights.
Mm-hmm.
They left behind the chalkboard and the bell. Hopefully someone will be by before they're needed again.
So Marybelle, you enter this space, like, seeing some of these things, and how is your olfactory senses? Like, do you register, like, human BO and all that kind of stuff? I mean, like, is that something that...
I think I do, but I don't think I register it in the same way that people would have sensory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, olfactory senses are really tied into, like, taste too.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering about that. Like, is it
yeah.
kinesthetic, like, where it's like, you taste something, but it's, I don't know,
I
sweat?
think it's more like spicy things because of, the chemicals inside would probably, if I were to put it in my mouth or hold it in my hand, I would probably be able to feel that there's something different about it, like the burning sensation. So I think with something like sweat, I don't know if I'd be able to smell it, but I imagine that if there was something I could sense from it, it would be more recognizing a human biological
Humidity.
thing. Humidity would be a good one. Ew. Yeah. Why did I suggest this? I hate it.
It's humidity. Sorry.
Nasty.
I mean,
I hate humidity. I live where I live because I don't like humidity.
There you go. All right. So anyway, you are here, it is abandoned, but there are still some of these signs, and like, you could, maybe you step on a couple of the bedding stubs, maybe you like, you see the chalkboard and the bell, which, you know, they probably have more, but they left that stuff. And you definitely feel in your, you know, servers or whatever that it's like, you can feel that humidity.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. I think I would like to try and scope out where I think the fighting ring would have been. It's
Sure.
probably going to be pretty easy to find. In an abandoned theater, it's probably the stage. But I think, yeah, I want to kind of take a look and see if there's anything that is unusual on the stage where the ring would have been.
Okay. Go ahead and take an information move, please, and then this would definitely be reason.
I was snacking and I moved my dice. Okay. Information. Let me just quickly double check my personal quarters, see if I've got anything cool. Oh, I have a waterlogged playbill from a play.
Oh, okay.
And I think I'm thinking that back to this playbill that I have, that I think I got it from literally picked up off the street after a play one day. And listening to people talk about the play. I'd never seen a play. I've never been in a theater before. So this is all very new to me. But I think based on the information that I heard people talking about at the play, and combined with what I was talking to Valentine today about people reading books in order to find escapism and explore different futures and things like that, I think I have a much slightly better ability to understand what would be weird on a stage and what would be not weird on a stage.
Got it.
Justified.
Okay.
And it's a good thing it was. This is with reason, right? Is that what you said? Yeah. That's a 10.
Nice. All right, great. So no complications or anything like that.
Nope. And actually, I'm gonna bump it. Because why not? Why not?
Oh, you guys are wonderful.
I'm gonna mark a mask of the past.
Sure.
So that we can get. I want to know more about our mastermind.
Do you know?
I do. I mean, not like right now if you don't want to do it, but in the near future.
So you're on the stage then. You're looking
Correct.
specifically on the stage.
Yeah, I think it sounds weird as Marybelle walks on the stage, their feet thumping. You can hear the echo below the stage with the stage thing over the orchestra pit. It sounds kind of hollow and echoey as they stomp.
As you make your way there, you see something that looks like on the back panel where some of the set scenery would be, placed. You see something that looks like some kind of etching, like circular etching. There's a figure in the middle of it and such and so forth. But as you approach, you will hear someone saying, "It resembles him, you know," from behind you.
I know that this person that is talking to me is talking about the etching that I am looking at. So I think I don't actually turn around to see who it is. I think I look specifically at the etching, at the details, because this person is talking like I would know who it's supposed to be to try and identify this. Clearly I'm not going to know who it is, but...
Right, exactly. So let me pull out the clue first. But yeah, she will, you hear this female voice, coming ever closer, and it is saying, "It is a remarkable resemblance." I mean, I don't know if that's actually on purpose, but some would say that, what is it? Imitation is the finest form of flattery.
and I think back to my conversation with Valentine and their comments about Damon Gray. And I say, I could not agree more. The resemblance is uncanny. Quite remarkable. I'm truly impressed, I feel very happy looking upon this. Do you not?
It is something that looks like the most finest form of man that has ever been seen. And you know, you're not looking back at this person, but they kind of come up behind you and a little bit alongside, and you see an elegant arm, like pointing, like, you know, delicate and long fingers, like, will point and say, trace the etching of the line and the grace of the muscles in this Vitruvian man. Da Vinci knew what he was illustrating when he made this. The highest form of man, is it not?
I agree. And I reach out and also more clumsily trace. I am also very invigorated by a musculature specimen of man. Quite intoxicating, is it not? Does it remind you of someone?
Yes.
It
Yes, it
reminds
does.
me of someone as well. That's a straight up lie, for the record. When you intentionally lie or misdirect a side character in order to gain their favor, tell the keeper what the truth is and roll presence with advantage.
Okay.
Marybelle has no real clue what they are talking about,
Right.
but they are thinking back to like when they've seen people flirt, when they've seen people talk to other people, various other, you know, things like that, trying to make it seem like, yes, I am also enamored with this person, thinking that they're probably talking about the Shoreditch Slugger in this case, and maybe we can find out more information about them. So that's the truth, and then I can roll presence with advantage, which I'm gonna do.
Okay.
And oh, that is just barely a hit, but it is a hit. That's a 7. On a
Okay.
hit, you mark 1 box on your behavior track. The side character will perform 1 small duty for you, which may come in the form of finding a clue.
Okay.
So on a 7 to 9, describe how you malfunction or otherwise subtly reveal your mechanical nature and take the condition the liars tell. So for those interested, I have a move called Spark of Life. This is what has given my body motion, and I have a behavior track. I have the condition being human, which I've cleared already. You cannot be cleared via the vulnerable move, but you can remove it to gain advantage on a roll, which I've done. When you clear this condition, you cannot take the condition again until your behavior track is full, and you mark your box each time you do something distinctly human, which I have just done. So I mark 1, and then I take the liar's tell, and I think what happens is as I am tracing the muscles on this person, I think I trace not just like the muscles, not just the physicality, but start tracing around like the aura and all of the little dig marks from the etching. And because I can't just see the etching as pieces of a whole picture. Here's the Vitruvian man, and here are the things, you know, around him. It is all etching to me. I don't see the jigsaw puzzle picture. I see the cuts on how the pieces fit together, you know?
Right.
And so I think it becomes very clear that I'm not seeing the same thing that she is seeing.
This female voice will, you know, say, You are a unique one, aren't you?
Unique, perhaps, but do people not say that everyone is unique?
Oh, yes, they do. But you have the kind of spark that I enjoy getting to know.
Yes, that makes sense. I would understand why people would want to get to know me.
Are you still trying to touch the etching, or are you tracing it still?
Yeah, I think I'm still doing it, and it's just
Okay.
it's way off now.
This arm, this gracefully dressed arm, will actually, reach out and then put their elegant hand on top of yours and slowly bring it down, and then kind of like slowly swing you round to look at them. They are rather tall, and those sounded female. It's like as they start to talk a little bit more, it's like, starts to drift more into neutrality. And they're quite non-binary looking, basically.
Very androgynous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not that Marybelle would understand what that means.
Right. But I mean, they're wearing what looks like that could be a feminine suit, but also like a male suit as well. And so they're presenting like just a very well, I mean, if you have the vocabulary for it, I mean, like it's basically very elegant, very poised, very graceful, and they look at you with a smile upon their face, saying, "It would be my pleasure to get to know you better. I am Morata."
I'm Marybelle.
It is nice to meet you. And they bow.
Likewise. Marybelle doesn't bow. Why are you tipping over?
Oh, you are not familiar with this custom then.
Is it not customary to shake hands upon meeting someone new?
Well, we are.
Kemuel does not like it.
I am not this Kemuel then. And I think they still have your hand in theirs.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And they this, and they do it again. This is a bow. You may have seen, perhaps, females curtsy, and then they do the curtsy, and then males will do the bow, but I will do either. I just felt like bowing at that time.
I think Marybelle does a bow in return. Like that.
Yes, exactly like that.
Very interesting.
Are you learning much with your companions at Hargrave House?
You know of Hargrave House?
Oh, it has a reputation, of course. Yes, indeed.
Then you know of my companions.
I don't know them, but word gets around.
They are interesting people. I understand why there would be word about them around.
You are all considered interesting, I'm sure. But I keep you from your business. I was just admiring the etching here, left by those that had their way with this place and have left.
Yes. I am investigating this place.
Oh.
It seems they are long gone, but perhaps there is something to be found. Have you seen anything of interest?
And this is where they look very intently at you, Marybelle. Yes. I have seen something quite of interest. And their smile gets wider.
Marybelle mimics that smile.
I will not
And
keep
what
you.
was that?
Oh. We will need to teach you other things that I'm sure your companions do not know or do not practice upon you. Have you ever heard of flirtation?
Of course. I'm very well versed. You see, Hargrave House is situated on a very common promenade. There are many lovers that walk up and down the road. And I have witnessed many a flirtation. Additionally, I have seen many people attempt flirtation with Kemuel.
I have my own charms, I'm sure, but I continue to say that I have seen things of interest here, but it would be rude of me to keep you from your business. I'm sure we'll see each other again. Absolutely.
I do not wish to encourage you to be rude.
If anything, you may want to look beyond that Vitruvian man on the wall. I see that there seems to be some kind of poetry etched beyond it. It might be something that you could glean information from.
Ah, thank you. I will do that.
As you turn
And I think I just turn back to it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't even.
And you don't hear them leave either. But I will say that your mastermind clue is when you go look beyond the Vitruvian man, you will see it's a piece of blackout poetry, a play of sorts, depicting London with a myriad of strings.
Ooh.
So, that's what you see. And we shall go over to Val, who is heading back to the Greenwich Hospital to speak with the pensioner. Val, when you re-enter the hospital, hold on, you will see, so many tabs. I see so many tabs. Val will see something completely different. Yes, there's someone there, in the foyer, an air of command, impeccable uniform, and I think you will, if you try to pass by them as they're talking with one of the attendants at the hospital, you will hear, yes, I'm going to be shipping off soon. I wanted to check on Lieutenant Allardyce and wanted to make sure that they were going to be fine. Strange business, that, on the Whippet.
I think I will, as I overhear this, I will turn to this person, and Val will snap out a smart salute and say, I'm terribly sorry, I couldn't help but overhear. You mentioned Lieutenant Allardyce. I was just on my way to see him.
Ah, yes. I am Captain Porter. I commanded the ship, HMS Persephone, that discovered the Whippet. Getting ready to ship out, and I just wanted to make sure that the lieutenant was going to be in good hands. As he would be.
None better, I'm sure.
You are a shipman, then. Recognize the salute. Quite smart.
I'm not of the sea, but I have served in other capacities. in my time. I wonder if I can ask you about what happened when you encountered the Whippet.
Well,
It seems a most peculiar matter.
oh, definitively so, but I cannot. And he will kind of like draw you off to the side, away from the other attendants and doctors. I am not, of course, at liberty to reveal any naval secrets. Regardless, you are.
The last rank I held, I believe, was Captain Gys-Otteray, and I think they might like flash. I have the item in my personal quarters, which is a medallion,
Okay.
melted and cracked with a partially visible Latin inscription. And I think it would be an insignia that indicates membership of the Order of the Garter.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, so if you want to get some information, this would be with presence. Give yourself. Hold on. Do you have any other? Hold
So I
on,
get
let me see. Can't remember if I. Yeah. Deja vu. Do I make this really weird for you? Roll a flat roll because deja vu may come into it. So consider that medallion
Absolutely.
like canceling it out slightly.
Yep.
Okay. So.
With presence, you said.
Yes.
That's actually a 13.
Oh,
Boxcars on the dice.
Nice. 2d6 plus presence. Okay. Fabulous. Well, we're the 13. Goodness. This is an information move, right?
It is, yeah. I'm never going to get to do my moss at the various pasts and futures.
Yep. But yeah, it means other things too. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you flash that, and immediately there's this gleam of respect for you. And he'll confide in you and be, please, sit here, sir, Captain. And, there's a, like a little, sitting area and such. And he will, lean in to say, I've seen quite some odd sights in my travels, but I have to admit to you, the Whippet, it first seemed so normal. Fully rigged, no signs of damage. When she didn't respond to our hail, we pulled alongside. That's when we saw that she was abandoned. Like the whole crew just disappeared. No struggle. Just that poor bastard Allardyce, ranting and raving. It's the strangest thing. And then he will speak to you a little bit more about it. And he will say, give me a second. There was something that we found as we were trying to explore the ship. Trying to ascertain whether there was anyone else besides the lieutenant. One of my men saw something quite odd and a little disturbing. There was a calendar on the wall. And he saw the date in 5 days' time, circled emphatically on that calendar in what he told me looked like dried blood. And I can confirm that is what it looked like. But there was no explanation, no notes, no anything to indicate what in hell it meant. 5 days from the time we found this boat.
And when would that have been?
None. It doesn't mean
I
anything
presume.
to us.
Indulge me a moment, sir. Where did you find yourselves upon that date? I presume you had left the scene of the Whippet by that time.
You mean on the sea?
Yes. On the date that was circled. Where would you have been?
If we had not found the Whippet, we were... And he seems to stop. And he seems to stop. And from his position of leaning into you, like, you know, confiding in you and being very, very present, all of a sudden he seems to jerk back, as if being pulled back by something. And his movements, like, you know, he brings his hands out and will gesture. And his mouth moves, as if he's trying to say where they were supposed to be, but his mouth looks like it's jerking very strangely. And then his head cocks a little bit. And you see him moving mechanically, as if there are near invisible strings catching the light above them. You see it from the light. It's almost like an optical illusion. And then he stops jerking, and the strings disappear. And then he goes back to normal and back into his kind of like hunched over position and saying, as if he had kept on talking while he was saying this. And it was as if Lieutenant was ranting and raving about a specific point that he was supposed to get to, but never got. It wasn't even on the manifest. We have no idea where he came from. But the doctors tell me that there are other Allardyces here. That's spanking coincidence, isn't it?
Yes, it is rather.
Well, it has been good talking to you. I'm sorry if I seemed rather strange about it, but it was an odd occurrence, and I'm hoping not to run into anything like that yet again when I ship out. It was good meeting
I quite
you.
understand.
It was good meeting you.
Thank you for your assistance. It's been most interesting.
I wish you well, Captain. Wherever your
Thank
journeys
you.
take you.
Thank you, Captain.
And he will take his leave of you. So, let's take another break, and then we'll see where we're at for the rest of day phase, or if we want to slip into dusk for funsies, okay? So yeah, 5 minutes. Alright, so Kemuel, you have seen what you have seen in your broadsheet, and also scarred your reflection a little bit, and also gained something, you know, whether you want to or not. Your companion has disappeared. Just so you know.
Yeah, I think they are a little unhappy about the state of the broadsheet and tear it up and look about for Mr. Gray to see if Mr. Gray had seen or heard anything strange,
The window is open.
and they'll walk over to the window. Look out.
Like you hear the wind whistling outside, and you can see, like, for quite some distance. Yeah, you look down, there's, it's like a long way down, but
I think they'll just shrug and start kind of an annoyance, just start rifling through the room,
okay.
through the papers on the desk, and just flipping through the calendar book, opening drawers and dumping them out.
I mean, it sounds like, Kemuel's getting nosy, so I mean, like, if you want to roll information on reason, that's totally fine.
Okay. Is that a straight roll, or are any of the various conditions affecting that?
Oh, I have to do it because you have deja vu now.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to be at disadvantage unless you can pull something from your quarters to negate it.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything that really applies to that, unfortunately.
Okay. So, 2d6, or say 3d6.
3d6, take the lowest. Yeah.
Take the lowest with reason.
Okay, that's 2 5s and a 2. So a 5 and a 2 is 7, but I believe, yeah, Kemuel's reason is -1.
Oh,
so that's a 6.
Okay. Yeah, so what happens to you, if you want to change it, is that in this place, you're going to see what you just did happen again. You're going to read the article. You're going to get a little pissed off because of, what you read and what you feel. And then you'll tear up the broadsheet and then wonder why the hell you're doing that again. Because you'll have already seen, like, the broadsheet torn and on the floor. So. But I will say that in the midst of this, I think you're going to let your eyes pan over to the wall. And I think there's going to be a mirror there. And it shows your beautiful visage. But you will notice that when you're looking in the mirror, you'll start to see, like, if you're still sitting down on the floor, you'll see your body rise. And not by your own volition. It's as if those invisible bindings have, like, raised you up to standing. And you will feel yourself rise in the air. And being brought, like, you can feel your body moving, not of your own volition, and back to the window. And you will feel yourself being lowered out the window until the only thing touching the ledge is your toes. And you feel that at any moment your body will be dropped. And then you feel the drop.
Yeah, I don't think Kemuel likes that at all.
No.
I
use mask.
I think I will mark a mask to keep that from happening.
Okay. Alrighty.
They don't like the notion of someone else being in control of their body.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So your condition is the ties that bind, and what you find amongst the papers and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But I don't see it listed, so that's what I'm going to put in there. You find among the papers, in fact, you find it hidden underneath a bunch of papers and some of these scrawled journals that look more chaotic and more frantic. You find a sextant marked with odd degrees and strange sigils. You've seen enough of these in your travels to know that this is very odd. Okay? So yeah. Daymond, you are seeing this whirling mass around you. I mean, maybe you're clutching onto your broom. You have some ability to fly around here, but you can't help it because, yeah, it's just a swirling miasma around you with winds buffeting all which way. So it'll keep you up for a little bit, and there's really no way down. The observatory is about the closest thing that you can see as something relatively stable in this place.
I attempt to head to that source of stability.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Swimming or flying against the current is necessary.
Day move. You're trying to get back to the observatory, get back inside it and such to try to get more centered here. But there's a very good possibility that you're just going to get buffeted by all these, swirling winds of time and space, and get blown into some place else, some time else. Who knows? So, what do you think will go wrong if you fail or lose your nerve?
I think I will be blown farther away from the observatory.
Mm.
Not unreachably far, but farther.
Farther, yes. Okay. Checking your conditions. Give me a sec.
Out of time's the only one.
No, I'm not gonna make your life hard. You're already in the middle of out of time for sure. So I'm gonna say 2d6 plus composure.
Before attempting to get out, would I be able to attempt to get a small vial of this fluid, the winds that I'm in, the miasma that I'm floating through, to attempt to grab it before attempting to get out to safety?
Let's see how you roll.
Absolutely.
If you roll well, then sure.
10 on the dice with composure, 11.
It's only a day move.
Mm-hmm.
You could bump it up to a 12 to get that extra benefit of getting like a little bit of this miasma to come with you.
We're speed running this game. Yeah.
No, it's day move, so you don't get a mastermind clue for it.
Well, no, I'm aware.
Okay.
No, it's more so burning through masks quickly. Yeah, I'll go with a mask of the past.
Sure. Okay. All right. So, tell me, with the 12, how you get your butt back into the observatory and also get a vial of this stuff that you're swimming in or flying in, whatever. Tell me what that looks like.
Daymond is not a strong swimmer and not a strong flyer. It is ungraceful. As long as we're on a Wizard of Oz wicked kick, it's him bobbing up and down frantically in this cyclone. And I think he's a little bit afraid. It's not his usual encounters with the deadly. And so at the start of this, I think his mouth opens up and he just kind of starts screaming a little before it just kind of fills his cheeks with as if like he's full of like seawater, and it just kind of fills up his cheeks. And before he can do anything else, I think instead of swimming up, he just kind of gives in and falls down. And at the bottom just kind of pops back out. I want it to be the observatory mirror crashing into Kemuel, but that feels like it would upset Kemuel way too much.
I mean,
Yeah. There's a smile on Mark's face. Out of the mirror comes Daymond, tumbling and turning as he lands at Kemuel's feet in one of Dr. Fisher's empty but still dirty mugs. The liquid just kind of drains, pouring out of his mouth into this mug for later. And as the swirling portal in the mirror begins to close, the broom flies out, sopping wet with liquid, bristles first into Kemuel's face, down on the bottom, landing on Mr. Gray, absolutely soaking the both of them.
amazing. Amazing.
That's incredible.
Oh, crap.
I'm so sorry.
That's amazing.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Kemuel, what do you have to say about this? What outfit did Mr. Gray ruin of yours?
Yeah, it was the tight-fitting black jacket with flame along the bottom of the hem, just soaked.
I will get you a new one.
Mr. Gray. In future, your entrances needn't be so dramatic.
I did not touch you this time.
I dare say you're correct. We could do with less dampness. And they just sort of turn and walk out.
I think in the middle of that, maybe like, Millicent like is about to it's like, and how did it? Oh, and proceeds to turn on her heel and then like leave to go back out. Okay. Marybelle, you are still at the abandoned theater, and you're, that person has left.
Yeah, I think I'll take this time to properly look at the stage now that I'm not quite as distracted. I think, yeah, I'm just going to look around where I think the fighting was, or maybe around the edges where the betters were, so maybe they would have dropped something or left something that will help indicate what was going on, what people, even other people I could talk to. Maybe somebody left their wallet.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, so go ahead and roll on your... I'm not going to let none of your conditions are going to be affecting you.
That's
at the
nice.
moment. Yeah, information with reason, because you're taking a careful look around.
That's an 11. It's tempting, but I'm not going to mark 2 masks.
No. Don't do it. Okay. So.
My rolls are really good today. That never happens.
It's to counterpoint some of your colleagues' roles. That's probably what it
It's
is.
true.
For sure.
I don't know what direction you're in on the screen, but I'm going to point up as if you're up there.
All right, so you're specifically looking backstage to see if there's any kind of like indication of like where to go next, yeah?
Around the stage, yeah.
Okay.
Or who was there, or and what I think I'm specifically looking for is any indication as to somebody who was here that isn't Bran that I could talk to. Bram that I could talk to.
I think you'll find it's a flyer. It's an advertisement for Dr. Rogan's botanical elixir for men, promising to cure impotence, increase virility, and build muscle. And it has like a shop name and address on the bottom.
Yeah, I put that into my little utility belt.
Yeah. And that is your clue. The advert for the Rogan's botanical elixir for men. Okay. And real quick, let's go over to Val. So, Val, you're still like, you're watching Captain Porter leave. Do you do anything else here at the hospital? Do you continue to go on to visit older James Allardyce?
I think there may actually be something else I want to do.
Okay.
Which is to slip into the past for a moment.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
see if I can, because Captain Porter's behavior was somewhat unusual, and I wonder if I can observe anything more about it.
Okay.
So,
what is it? What's the move?
The move is Amor Fati. When you slip into the self of time, roll with composure and choose your direction. And I'm choosing a priori into the past.
Mm-hmm.
On a hit, describe what happened according to the prompt and choose 2 effects by the end of the night. On a 7 to 9, the keeper chooses 1 complication. So I roll with composure. Now I'm just noticing I do have the condition of deja vu, which seems perfect for like messing up time travel.
You could go back in the past. You could repeat the past. You could fuck around and find out deeper in the past.
I don't think I have any items, so I'm guessing you're going to make me roll with disadvantage, aren't you?
Of course. 3d6.
My composure's 2, though.
All right, well,
that's a 9.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at that move then.
So I have to describe 1 detail I have altered.
Okay.
I think the detail I've altered is that when Captain Porter arrived, Val was already there, dressed in the uniform of an officer of the Royal Navy.
Okay.
Standing, talking to the porter or not the porter, the whoever it was that the captain was talking to.
Okay.
And then I think the effect I'm going to choose is I can ask a question that is answered in the form of a clue.
Okay.
But what is already in motion here? Oh yeah, and there's this whole thing about the table holds 3. So any hunter can spend 1 hold to explain how my actions in the past affect the present for better or ill, and mark 1 XP.
Amazing. Okay. All right, so what is... That's one of the effects?
Yeah.
By the end of the night. Okay. Let's see.
In the sense of, I think there's something going on that Val may have just missed the first time.
Mm-hmm. in the form of they do good work here in the observatory, and they're on the precipice of making a significant scientific discovery that is in motion.
Mm.
Okay. And you get the other one, right? You get another effect?
Yeah. I'll take an unmarked keepsake that I may add to my personal quarters.
Okay. Does the keepsake come from me or you?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess it comes from me.
Okay.
I think I'm going to take
Oh, wait.
somewhere
How
unless you've
about
got a
this?
great idea.
I have a better idea.
Yeah.
Because you're in the past. I don't know if any of your companions have it, because I'm not looking at their sheets right now, but take an unmarked item from one of their personal quarters. So you have a copy of it. A past copy of it. And put that in your personal quarters. Does anybody have any unmarked items? That's the other question I had.
I've got plenty of unmarked and marked.
There you go.
Oh.
So an unmarked item from one of their personal quarters, you have a copy of it in your personal quarters. I love it.
I do have an idea,
Mm.
which would be to take it is currently marked, but it wouldn't have been very far into the past. It's a copy of
Okay.
the broom.
Ha! Sure, if you want that one, sure. And I get to give you a complication, yeah, because of the 9.
Yes.
Oh, you are not the only one who's made the sojourn 2 times. Oh, that's so tempting. I just don't know who else to get to shove in there with you. Oh, no, I do know. All right, so we're going to leave this... Pardon. I'm going to leave you with... what does it look like when you're going into the past? Does it look different to you? Sepia, streaming, winds? What does it look like when you're in the past?
I don't think it does look any different, no. I think
Okay.
Val is just
Val.
unmoored. So it's almost normal to them that they can kind of be in two places at once in a way, or retroactively act in a way that would affect what happened to them.
I think as you're going through the motions here in the past, I'm assuming it's like, you're actually in the past and not just watching a vision of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you will notice a properly dressed, not a hair out of place, polite woman who you did not remember seeing before. The first iteration when you first got here. Like, she seems to be there, more there than any of the people that were present the first time you came. And she just excuses herself, as she kind of crossing your path, almost getting close enough to interrupt your conversation with Captain Porter, but yet not. Like, oh, excuse me, pardon me. And then she will kind of move along in the background. But she will look at you and look directly at you as she passes.
Almost like a moment of recognition. Mm. Mm.
She will smile a little shyly and just kind of watch as you do what you do, as if she's there to observe.
I think perhaps once I'm done talking to Captain Porter, I might approach her.
She will see you approach. She's quite demure. She has her reticule, in front of her in both hands, and just kind of patiently waits for you to get to her. And then she just says, "Hello."
I will bow and say, "Madam, forgive me, but I feel as though we may have met before."
"I'm sure we have."
"And yet you have me at a disadvantage."
"You can call me Marie."
"Marie, you may call me Valentine, or, well, it is frequently shortened to Val."
"What do you prefer? What do you like to hear on thine own ears?"
"That all depends on who it is that I'm speaking to."
"I am just Marie."
"And what brings you here? Just Marie?"
"You are not the only one who travels these waters, these streams of time. But I observe, I learn, and I find out things for different purposes."
I suppose in a way that is what I do as well. It is curious. In these many years, I've never met anyone else afflicted by my particular condition, and now, in the space of 2 days, you are the second.
"Do you consider it an affliction?" "I consider it a means of knowing."
It is that, but one is rather never at home in any particular time, I find.
Home is where you make it, and with whom that you make it.
Therein lies the problem.
I believe we both have to go now, but I'm sure we will meet again.
I'm sure. It has been a pleasure, Marie.
It is my pleasure too, Valentine. And I think the image will shift, and then you find yourself back in the present as she disappears. So, but yeah, I think you'll find in your hand, though, I think you'll find a ribbon in your hand, and it resembles a ribbon from her dress.
Lady's favor. Perfect.
And with that, we are out of day phase. Let's just take a quick look-see here, real quick. So right now we are working with 2 clues on Shoreditch Slugger, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on Meantimes. So conceivably, if you want, you could roll flat on the 6 opportunity for Meantimes, or you can get a +2 if you can incorporate everything for the complexity 4. And then Shoreditch Slugger, of course, if you want to just kind of wait on it because you want to gather more clues, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, we will we will take up again and begin dusk phase for next time, and then go into nighttime. So yeah, just want people to. Oh, and then let's see, we have Kemuel that owes a mask of the past. We have Daymond that owes a mask of the past. Am I missing anybody that needed
I
to
owe a
plug?
mask of the past,
Yeah.
but I'll do it next time. I don't.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Not today.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, it's getting late, and I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. So, anyway, that's what we're going to be doing for next time. So, if people can have their Masks of the Past ready for, like, again, like the little prologue in the beginning of next session, we can totally do that. And then go into Dusk Phase, see what you want to do, if anything, for questions. And then we'll go into it. Yep. All right. All right. So, Stars and Wishes. Sorry if it was very confusing today. I'm just like, oh my god, I have to introduce a new thread. Oh shit.
I think a star for Amanda's commitment to the bit with Marybelle. Like, she's really interesting. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that scene we had together, and just, you know, the kind of take she has on everyday things is really fun to engage with. I really enjoyed Daymond and Kemuel's little bit of, I don't know, is there a hint of a, not rivalry, but a certain amount of friction between the two characters? Not unfriendly, but you know, I don't think Kemuel's too impressed with being touched and then being doused with ectoplasm or whatever it was that came through the portal. Marie is intriguing. I hope to meet her again. I'm sure I will. I presume she's some kind of servant of the mastermind. I really liked Kemuel's description of how the reflection was scarred. That was interesting. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else I wasn't taking notes today. But yeah, good session. Oh, wishes. Stop rolling 13s so I can put on a mask.
Yeah, I didn't take notes. I guess I wasn't thinking. My brain's all over the place today. But I really, really liked the scenes between Daymond Gray and Kemuel today. The like what Rob was saying, the sort of antagonism that was coming through is a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not sure what's gonna happen there, but when Kemuel responded to Mr. Gray touching them, that was like, what's happening? Are you gonna kill them? I don't know what's gonna happen here. It was great. Really liked that moment. I also really liked the scene with Marybelle and Val, because Val is so like sincere, and Marybelle is also sincere, but in a very different way. So it's a really interesting way to interact with two people. So I'm glad we got to play around with that a little bit in a vulnerable move too, which is very fun. Mads, the throwing out like the complications and rolling with all that today was a lot of fun. But I think my favorite thing was the side characters you were throwing today. Like really good side character moments with Hattie and the one I met in the theater whose name I can't remember now. And Marie. Yeah, they were really great. Just fun, interesting characters. I'm looking forward to more. Wish I wanna see more masks too. Let's do it. Let's start failing our roles.
I'll be quick, but echoing everything that has been said already, I really loved the vulnerable scene between Val and Marybelle. Just fun to see those two particular characters bumping off each other. I love the image. I really enjoyed the scene between Marybelle and someone where she was mimicking the smile. And that the way that whole scene with the poster and everything was great. I love the image of Val snapping off the salute And then the fact that later it turns out that Val had been there wearing a uniform already. It's like a nice reflection backward. And in general, I just get a kick out of how sanguine Valentine seems to be about all of the situations they find themselves in. Really, really lovely. Jeremy, I really enjoyed doing the vulnerable scene with Daymond. I especially like the detail of Daymond asking Kemuel how to make someone else happy. I thought that was a fun moment. That mask of the past that you did was so amazing, and really intriguing details in there that like make my mind go lots of different places about what could be going on. So really enjoyed that. And the stepping out on the ledge and everything that followed. To echo the comments about the side characters, Vance, I really liked the delivery of certain bits, like the way that you hit that. You have the kind of spark that I enjoy getting to know, and the whole delivery. I was cracking up at the delivery of Dr. Brogan's botanical elixir, and then I am just Marie. Like those little bits really, really felt a way to pull out a particular moment. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to more masks of the past as well.
My own making going last, echoing so much of what's been said, but to pick out a few things that haven't been. It was delightful seeing Marybelle's imprints from the various hunters, and how you specifically called back to each of us as to what you were doing. It makes me want to only protect Marybelle and not like no tomfoolery around Marybelle, just teaching. The vulnerable scene with Kemuel, looking back at the dawn question you'd selected, it makes perfect sense, but in the moment it was like, what? Why am I being slapped? It just felt so right in the moment. And it's a great portrayal of how Kemuel sees Kemuel. A work of fine art hanging in a museum that should not be touched under any circumstances. Rob, it was just nice to see what Val does when they have a moment to themselves, lying in bed with a cat and a book, just being at peace in the current moment was such a weird and wild treat. Mads, the willingness to yes and off of a ledge, not just the literal ledge for me, but everyone else, of where you took everything this evening was delightful. And the exact opposite wish of Rob, I would like to roll slightly higher than a 4. Thank you.
It is what it is sometimes, but I will say, oh God, I am so sorry. I didn't even realize that it's like, I'm pushing for higher rolls for the mastermind clues. It really ramps up. So here's the difference, and I will disclose this, as this is part of the playtest for, the new mastermind rules. So layer 2 is unlocked after just the second clue to find out more about the mastermind and such. And then layer 3, which we know one of the threats becomes a servant, that's unlocked at 5 mastermind clues. And then layer 4 is unlocked at 8. You are 3 mastermind clues away from having to go into what's essentially the siege, which means all other threats cease. There will be a direct attack onto Hargrave House, and then you guys will have to figure out what her plan is. And then the mastermind question will be answered, will have to be answered. And then layer 5 is when you answer that question, it's like you confront the mastermind. So we're talking speed running, like Sonic style, okay? So wow.
I just made a joke in chat, but I'm really impressed with myself, and I called it "We're doing the skinny britches version."
Serious.
You know, not like skinny jeans.
Serious.
I laugh at my own jokes.
Holy crap-a-doodle. I mean, like, and I had my own plans, and I'm thinking, nah, they're not going to get to this point this soon. Yes, they did. Yes, you absolutely did. Goddamn. Oh. If I'd known this, I would have made it a hella more dangerous and included, like, some of the
There's
weirder
still
shit.
time.
Sure.
We can still roll poorly for every information move from now on.
I can only hope. Finding out about these characters. Anyway, I mean, like, tonight was great. I mean, either for the really great roles or for the roles that you're like, do I want my character to go through this? No. And then you automatically took a mask. I love it. Yeah, I mean, like, all those character moments that you showed off, whether it be in the vulnerable move or in your own scenes, were just delightful. And I really enjoy doing the side characters to play off of each of you in your own scenes, and it's just a lot of fun for me, and I'm hoping it's a lot of fun for you too. So stars for all of that. I mean, I love our interactions, and I love the interactions between the characters. The dynamics are going to be very interesting because Marybelle has Most Beloved, so she's getting more attention, but then the rest of you, I mean, like, depending on how you roll, you're also getting GD attention from the mastermind, so that's going to complicate your lives even more. And with this speed running through the mastermind, yeah, it could be quite complicated. Now I'm starting to feel like I'm playing like a game of like Hearts of Wulin or Passiones, because it's like of all the entanglements and stuff. So this is going to be interesting, I will say. I had fun tonight. I really enjoyed like playing off of all of you. You did so great, like, either investigating or getting in trouble in your various locations. And yeah, I mean, like, there's just like some interesting, it'll be interesting to see what you guys come up with if you want to answer a question, for either of these things, for either of these new threats. And then going into night phase, oh boy, it'll be great. It's fine. I got nothing to worry about. You got nothing to worry about. It'll be great. So yeah, Masks in the Past for next time. Aww. And then dusk phase going into night phase. Okay, so happy gaming for you guys for the week ahead, and may it be a better week than Amanda's Monday. And yeah, I will see you next time. All right, have a great night. Thank you. Bye.